Welcome, relational leaders and listeners. This is Cultivate, your podcast destination where we celebrate thriving relational leaders and encourage each other along the influence journey. I am Wendy F. Adams, your host and strategic guide. In each episode, I will engage with leaders who are sharing authentic stories that support impactful influence. I believe work shouldn't be a four-letter word, but should inspire, challenge, and fulfill. Through a high challenge and high support model, we will explore the recipe for relational leadership that drives meaningful change. You will gain insights from leaders who face the same challenges you may encounter and discover strategies to navigate them with resilience and purpose. Meet Erica Gil, an empowering change agent who gets to lead people, not has to. As Chief People Officer at Good Ranchers, Erica is redefining what it means to lead with intention, building community, not family, and making human resources a strategic powerhouse. With over 14 years of experience and a master's in turnaround leadership, she's helped drive record growth, refine mission, and elevate every team member's potential. Let's dive in with Erica, a people-first leader dedicated to impact, growth, and getting it right. If you're seeking healthy leadership engagement in an open, empowering, and authentic environment, then you're in the right place. After all, as leaders, we're either driving progress or we're driving the problem. So let's grow together. So, welcome back to a fresh episode of Cultivate. Today, we are excited to have a mission-driven and people-strong influencer joining us today on the show. Erica Gil, Chief People Officer with Good Ranchers. Erica, we are thrilled to have you join us for the Cultivate experience.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to discuss today.
Well, we are going to have some fun. We're going to learn. We're going to be stretched. All of those things are about the Cultivate. And now that I have pumped the audience to that point, there's no doubt that our time is just going to fly by. So we're going to jump right in. I've had the privilege, Erica, of hearing from you your why and how that kind of attaches to what you're doing at Good Ranchers. And so let's give the audience a little bit of that taste.
Yeah, so my why really starts early in my career. I always had leaders and mentors in my career that have helped me not just see the leadership in me, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't always see it in myself. I'm one that never wanted to get into leadership. I thought I would be a career educator. I started off as a classroom teacher, did that for 6 years, had an amazing mentor that said, you know what, how about outside of the classroom, you could impact so much more. So went into coaching and developing teachers on the district level and then assistant principal and principal. But along the way, I always had people in my path that helped me to see the gifts and talents that I had that could help the next step and help me get to the next step and know, okay, which way, helped me have those conversations of like, do I want to stay here or do I want to go and impact on a different level? And so not only did they help me to see that, but helped refine the gifts, had some very difficult conversations with me and some very encouraging conversations. So my drive has always been to help the next generation and to help the upcoming leaders that sometimes they don't see it in themselves. Sometimes they don't see the gifts and talents that they have, or they don't have somebody helping them to refine them or helping them to see them. And so that has always been my passion, my drive. When this opportunity opened up as Chief People, it was like, yes, like this is something that I feel like I can look back and see, oh, okay, I can see the coaching and development training that I got that led me to this role that I have now. And I just want to pour it into the next generation.
Well, there is no doubt how you have just, like, even in speaking that out, I mean, I hear your title. It couldn't be a better one for you. But it's what exudes just in your conversation, right? So I can only imagine in your interactions, in your engagement with those emerging leaders that are around you, you sought out mentorship and you're looking to pour that back in. I think that's something that we cannot miss in the space that we're in is how important that balance has to be. And the fact that it's not a one and done, right? You've said it a couple times. It's this ongoing space. One of the things that you have shared, and I got to jump into it right from the beginning. When we talked first, you said you get to lead people. You don't have to lead people. I want you to share the story, the moment that shaped that for you, because it stuck with me from the first time you said it.
So, let me think about that. Um, Again, I'll go back to, that was one leader that I had. And
Mm,
this is what I love so much about mentorship and having the right mentor in your circle, in your path,
mm-hmm,
um, is her her philosophy was always that, we don't have to do this work. And this goes into so much of what we do in our hiring practices, in
mm.
the conversations we have on a daily basis, is we don't have to be here. We don't have to do this work. We get to do it. So the work that we do on a daily basis, we don't have to do it. We get to do it. I I think that a lot of the passion that you have, a lot of the passion that we have, is work that we get to do. We don't have to do. Um, I
Well,
feel like,
I think that you've spoken it out. I mean, when I think about your education days, right? And
mhm,
how that's pouring into even there. I say this all the time. There is a self-selection process, right? When we talk about the why of an organization and that is elevated and everyone knows, there's a point in time where someone may say, that's not who I am, and select not to be a part of that. I think that tight and we can get really, oh no, but if it's not, let's not do square peg round hole situation,
yeah,
right? If this is who the organization is, this is a direction, and it's not that person, that there's not alignment, then we want them to select so that they can be in a place of, I get to do this. And
yeah,
I think that when you said it, that's why it stuck with me so much,
yeah,
because it actually points us and pushes us in the most healthy space
yeah.
to grow up our leadership. That's what stuck with me so much.
Yeah, and I think your passion comes out when you're doing work that you love to do.
Yes.
The part of you that is not just like rote, or it's not just like,
Mm,
oh, I have to have this conversation, this tough conversation.
yeah.
No, it honestly, when I have to have tough conversations, it's not through this lens of like, oh my gosh, this
Ugh.
drudgery. I'm naturally a non-conflict. Like, I don't like conflict.
Mhm.
But when I'm in my area that I am passionate about, I want to pour into you. And yes, this is going to be a very difficult conversation, but guess what? It comes from a place of, I'm saying this because I care about you. And I feel like when people are in roles that they're passionate about, it makes everything easier. It makes, when you have to go back, you're a graphic designer and you have to go back and redo that
Mm,
design because you got feedback. Oh, okay, I want to go and I want to redo this design because I want it to be the best it could possibly be. When you come on the flip side of that and you're not in an area that you're passionate about, it's almost a little drudge, like
oh,
you're
yeah.
dreading this. And it's a conversation we have on a regular basis of, hey, I never want you driving to work and it's like, oh, I have to go to Good Ranchers, but
Mm.
I get to go here and I get to be a part of something that is so much bigger than myself.
And you've said it so well. It's beyond just us. When we're connected to it, it is me being in the role that I'm in and the work that I'm doing for the greater good. And I love that you made the analogy back to the graphic designer, because if you feel like you've got to scrap everything that you just did and do it all over
Yeah,
again, if you lose sight of the fact of why do
yeah,
we want to have this excellent space,
yeah,
and that's what that feedback has come from. So I love that. I have to ask, you've got a master's in turnaround leadership, and obviously that is the education behind that brings great authority in the work that you're doing. But How have you practically applied that through the change and this growth scale, this that you have happening at Good Ranchers? What is that looking like? The knowledge that you have, and then putting that into practical space.
There's so many transferable skills that I think when you talk about
Mm,
I mean, that really was the core of the turnaround program. And how do you take something that's not working? And it goes into not just so much education, but how do you get people to change? How do you get
mm,
them to change their mindset? And what do you do with hiring and having to maybe let go of something that's not working? And so those were the transferable skills of turnaround leadership that I was able to bring here. I mean, we went from very small, um, scrappy startup. I was employee number 7 here to now we're over 50 plus employees. We're closer to 60 than we are 50 now. And a lot of the skills I learned in turnaround I had to use going from small startup to now we're like, I always tell them we're like a big boy company now because we're now 50 plus and
yeah.
it looks different. And we're having what our table, our mission is bringing people to the table.
Mm-hmm.
But the table and who was at the table at the beginning in Scrappy Startup, we had a lot of Jack and Jill of all trades, a lot of generalists who could have their hands in finance, have their hands in picking boxes and making changes in graphic design. And we're excellent at all of that. As we grew, we needed experts at the table. We needed people who were experts now in finance and experts in graphic design and experts in marketing. And so that process was very similar. I mean, it was change management. It was having to have
Yeah.
tough conversations and saying, like, hey, and having people who were integral at Scrappy Startup days who did amazing work to get us here and saying, like, okay, you had a plate full of things. Now I just need you here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was difficult. That took a lot of very uh that took a lot of conversations that were very difficult. And we learned a lot of lessons along the way when you don't have those conversations and you see it negatively affect the company.
Well, and
And so
that's
we
it.
learned a lot. Yeah,
Yeah. It's you said it. It's not that you stay stagnant at that point. You
right.
go backwards. If you don't have those
Yes.
conversations, if when we recognize we're scrappy and we're moving into this growth and we want it to be sustainable, if
Yeah,
we don't have the conversations that says this is not that you're not good enough, this is not a
right.
taking away from you, then you go backwards. And I love that you highlighted that because I think at some point we're like, well, status quo is okay. Nothing about what we're talking about is status quo.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate how you've highlighted that space, which really speaks into that area of how do we empower others, right? I we talk about often here on Cultivate the liberating leader, someone who's going to bring that high challenge and the high support, so that we can truly liberate those, give those that we are leading freedom to be empowered to do what they are called to do. Has
Yeah.
got to be a part of our strategy.
Yeah.
I've heard you say this, and I want you to flesh it out for the audience. You've got what I think is a pretty bold belief because we throw this around. HR should build community, not
Mhm.
family.
Right.
What does that distinction mean in practice, and why does it matter?
Yeah. I always that is something that I learned early in leadership is you want to build community versus family. You
Mm,
don't choose family.
mm,
Family, um, you can have the tough conversations with, but ultimately they're there thick and thin. We are a community changes. A community has like a ebb and flow kind
mm-hmm,
of who
mm.
comes in, who goes out. Um, there is like with the work that we do. Let me think about this one because I want to think about how I'm going to say this.
Well, I think, yeah, as you think about it, one of the pieces that I feel is that you're leading towards is the intentionality of, right?
Mhm.
Like, because the ebb and flow is there, we can't sit in a place of this is how we've always done it, or here's the
Right.
box. So that's kind of what I'm hearing from you, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, and then it also comes back to, and this is why community is so important,
Hmm.
is it goes into everything that we do. Like, we're not just a company that puts meat in a box.
Mm.
We are
Mm.
bringing people to the table, and that starts with us. That starts with the community that we cultivate here in our our office. We do team lunches. We do breakfast every Tuesday where we shut everything down. We have a huddle where we get all the departments together after Tuesday breakfast, and we um, discuss what's upcoming, where are we at with KPIs. That builds community. We have a lot of extracurriculars that we do outside of work that aren't mandatory. But we have a group that plays pickleball every Tuesday evening. We have a group that goes to Astros games. We have a group. So the community that we built, it is foundational, I feel like, to what we're providing customers, what we're providing stakeholders. And so, when we talk about bringing people to the table, we're doing that
Yeah.
here. That trickles down to how we treat our customers, how we bring our stakeholders to the table, um, collaboration, the humility that it takes to
Mm.
do this work, to really have a community where we have candor and we're able to have tough conversations, and we're not like, oh, we can't have these tough conversations because I don't want to offend. No, let's have these conversations. Like, it's a part of building a healthy community. And we had it at 7 employees.
And
And
now.
as we've grown, that's something that we talk about in every hiring conversation. It's a part of, I don't just jump into the questions that I have of, I've seen your resume. I know you have what it takes. This is who we are. We are
And does,
going to ask about your family. We're going to ask about your life. We're going to ask, not in the interview, but in our day to
yeah.
day, we're going to check in and we're going to have team lunches and we're going to have book studies. Is that something you want to be a part of? If it
And I,
is, this
I
is
love,
it.
I love that it sounds like in that box, beyond the food, beyond the meat, like there's a little bit of who we are enters that space. So when that's opened up, that your customers, your stakeholders, they actually receive that as well. They get to experience some of that. I don't know if there's ever tours and people actually come in and interact and engage with team, but I feel like you're putting a little bit of that in each and every box.
Yeah.
And that it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into a little more of, how does that then expand and speak into the actual community that you're sitting in,
Yeah.
and how they're experiencing it, because you've mentioned stakeholders. But I want to dive in a little deeper into your balancing act of people care with the performance and the accountability, right? We're talking about some serious growth that's happened.
Yeah.
And how do you balance that? And affectionately, I call it again, that liberating leadership when you're scaling up so fast
Yeah.
at Good Ranchers. What does that look like?
So I will say, and I kind of talked about it in the
Mm.
previously, is it starts with the hiring process. So I'm very
Mm.
transparent in that first interview of really wanting to develop and grow our team members means that we are going to give continuous feedback. And it's not, it's feedback because we want you to be the best,
Mm.
fill in the blank, graphic designer, customer experience representative, marketer. We want you to be the best you could possibly be. So that means that we are going to give feedback positive. We're going to let you know what you're doing well, and also areas that you can grow in. And the reason we do that is because we want to make sure that you're continuously growing and you're reaching your goals and what you want to do. Um, we don't want it to be a secret. We don't want you to find out later that, oh my gosh, I've been doing that wrong this whole time. No, we'll let you know. And if that's something that you're like on board with, this is the place to be, because we will continuously help you to grow. But then also, like, when we hire people that are looking for that, when it comes to the tough conversations, we're able to
Mhm.
have those. And I do feel like it's the most loving thing that you could possibly do is to be able to provide people with feedback that's going to help them to grow. And sometimes it may hurt a little bit. I have received feedback, and I share that with people. Like, I've received feedback that hurt in the moment, but I would not be the leader that I am if I didn't get that. And so hiring not only people who want to receive that feedback, but hiring leaders who are able to give that feedback and seeing that, like really looking at, we promote a lot from within. And so we're always looking for leaders who have that, who are able to give that feedback. And not just looking for that, but looking for the potential in someone that may not have it right now, but we can coach and develop you to be that kind of person that can give
And
that.
and that, that's your North Star, right? Like when we talk about what keeps us grounded, that's what I'm hearing about Good Ranchers, but it's what I'm hearing from Erica, right? And to be able to, what you just defined was kindness. We can be very nice with one another and just kind of tell you what you want to hear, but when we step into that space of what you need to hear, because I'm thinking of your overall growth,
Mhm.
that's a place of being kind. And we all can speak into the fact that we need more of that just in our world. And I love that you say from the beginning, this is what we do before someone says yes to a position, before where there's an offer, they're going to know this is who Good Ranchers is. Is this something you want to be a part of? And I think that is a piece that I do believe that we can get lost again if we're not intentional in it, and we can just get down to, well, do they have skills? And then
Right.
we'll talk about the environment, we'll talk about the culture later. And that's a place that can get us in a whole lot of trouble. So I really appreciate your emphasis there. And I'm just wondering, what kind of feedback do you get from someone who's coming and sitting across from you from the first time and hearing that? Do you see light bulbs go off, or do you see people go, ooh, that's a lot?
Um, I think a lot of people, it's refreshing to hear. I've
Good.
heard a lot of people say, because, and I also add to that at the end, like, we're not setting anything on fire here. We're not like doing anything that's like, but it's who we are. And
Yes.
if that's not what you're looking for, then you would be miserable here, because it would be like another conversation. Like, I
Yes.
cannot. So a lot of people, though, that come to us have seen our website, have seen our
Hmm.
LinkedIn, um, and they are like, this is so refreshing to hear that I'm going to get feedback, because at the last position I was in, I never got feedback. And I was always wondering, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I not? Um, and so it is really refreshing. And it is something that people, I feel like, especially this generation coming up, they're
Yeah.
looking for that. They're hungry
Yeah.
for feedback. They want to know if they're meeting the mark. I mean, I think it's everybody. Everybody
Yeah.
is looking for feedback, honestly. And it definitely is welcomed.
Well, it's a way for us to make sure that people are seen and heard, right? Let's not leave
Yeah.
it open to interpretation and maybes, but I see you, I hear you, and let me just tell you how you warmed this leader's heart as I speak into other leadership groups, but specifically in your sector of HR, that you didn't say, we talk about their strengths, and then in those hard conversations, you didn't say the W word. It's not a weakness. You were like, an opportunity to grow. Like, that's what we're speaking into. And I think that that's a big part of changing our mindset, is changing our vocabulary.
Yeah.
How do we actually, speak about these issues, these challenges that, and and we've talked a lot about the places where we've celebrated, and we need to. That can't go, oh, just they know that they're doing a good job. Now let's flip the script and talk about those challenging places. And you heard me say it in the beginning, the things that stretch us, that's what grows us. So, what are some of those challenging spaces that you and your team are wrestling with as you speak into those that you are leading, and how are you practically navigating that with your team?
We have a very young management team. They are amazing and they're wonderful leaders. One thing though that we are, I will say, a challenge right now is that just that fact that they are young and they're growing and they're navigating. I think, we talked about it earlier. We went so fast from small startup to now we've 5x revenue, and here we are 4 years later. We're in the process, I think, of like shedding that skin and coming into the space, and our leadership team is really molding that, because it's newly emerging. And I think this is a lot of companies that are in the space that we're in. That mid-management this year is like that newly emerging mid-management. It really is so new to us. And we're now, like, I feel like we're in this space where we're looking at how to grow that mid-management and give them the tools that we had, and be those mentors and be able to give them feedback on the feedback that they're giving. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you're hearing them, and then you're saying, okay, let's not leave it out there hanging. Let's have that conversation about it and addressing the questions that they're bringing up, the places that you see that mentorship. And what I'm also hearing is the follow up to that. We're not going to
yeah,
have that conversation once and then change happens, and then they're now back in that wonderment space,
yeah,
haven't, and so I love that it's an ongoing conversation. That is one of the places that speak to my heart, and kind of North Star for me is
yeah,
that it's an ongoing dialogue, and we never just leave it in that open-ended space.
yeah,
When you talk about those emerging leaders, which you're in that space, I mean, it's you're in that place and space where what's next steps for you,
mhm,
that they can see you walking that out, seeking out mentorship, seeking
yeah,
out those spaces of where can what are those things that I should and need to be working on. Then you're walking the talk. That's what I think I'm seeing is you are calling those emerging leaders up into make sure that you're walking your talk, that it's not just to be said, but how do you walk that out? Which leads me to a place of, for where you are and what you're doing and what you see, with your organization. If you had to give grassroots advice to others who are sitting in your space, in that chief people officer, HR leaders, they're looking to build strong culture and they don't want to lose sight of the results. What's that core advice that you're like, don't let go of this? I
I
know
would
it's a big
say,
one.
I know. Um, I would say you can't. It's good to have very strong a very strong vision, and it's really good to have KPIs that you want to meet and goals, and that is your role, is to, yes, keep sight of that. Like, that's what you're looking at. But you can never let go of the fact that the people are the ones that are doing that work.
Love it.
And you want to make sure that, like, you're looking at the overall company, and you're looking at, do they have the tools that they need? Are departments working cross-departmentally, interdepartmentally effectively? What are the needs of the organization? You're the eyes looking out for the people on a grand scale, while never losing sight of how effective, how efficient is everything running, um, and not losing sight as well of the vision, the mission, the values of who. It's a balancing act. It
Yeah.
really is. And you're looking at so many different things. Never lose sight of the people that are doing the work, because you're looking out for them. Yes, they have department leaders and they have people over them, but you're looking on a grand scheme, a grand scale of everything, and wanting to keep everything balanced and not too much, not like, I always thought of, well, early in my career, which has led to here of you want to keep their plate as free of things that they don't have to worry about. Like you're that
Mm,
filter, you're that buffer to ensure that, okay, are you working on the things you should be working at on and not having to worry about all of this extra stuff. If
I
that
love
makes
it.
sense.
I love it. Well, and how well does that work for where you are now, right? You keep talking about this beautiful picture of being at the table. And then you bring
Mhm.
in the analogy of making sure that their plate is what they need, what is for
Yeah.
them, right? So we have this beautiful picture. We've talked about community versus family and why the terminologies make a difference. You've painted this like really great picture for us of how Good Ranchers not only walks that out for their community, their stakeholders, their customers, but how they're keeping it people first internally and recognizing that that's what is going to continue to bring not only growth, but sustainable growth for
Yeah.
the organization. I want to, before we get to a place of wrap up, and we've got a couple fun things that we want to do here, some getting a little more to know you. What does that look like for Good Ranchers in the community that you actually serve? How does your community best engage with the organization?
Um,
Are you out in the community like obviously what you're doing and serving across the country. What does that look like right in your backyard?
so, our vision is bridging the American farm to the American family.
Mm,
We very much value that aspect, and so we do a lot of work with. We used to only do the Houston Food Bank, and
mhm,
that was who we partnered with, and we would go and support. But we have recently made that switch to Paralyzed Veterans Association. And so we really want to make sure that we're not just partnering with them through just a portion of our boxes go, but
mhm.
we're able to be present and there when they have events. The wheelchair games, we were partners with them there, and just different events that us as Good Ranchers are able to go and be a part of um, those events, and it makes a difference. Like
Mhm.
for our partnership team to come back and be able to share the impact that we've made and what it means to be partners with them. Um, we had a group that came back last week and they're in tears at our meeting, just talking about the experience that they had and how everybody's welcome at the table. Like we all are part of this work, and being able to see it's not just a portion of our proceeds go and we have a box and we have discounts. Yes, we have all of that, but
And
boots on the ground, what are we doing? It's just making such a positive impact, and we bring it back to our team here, and it just is so impactful to see that and experience that.
I love it. I love how you brought that full circle. I mean, we talk about this, and for a lot of my career was in the nonprofit space, and I honed in and hit it hard. And anyone who knows time, talent, treasure in that order, and that's what like. You're going in, and there's time that's invested, which is our most priceless commodity. Like it's the best gift. You can't get any more of it. So when you can put that time in, bringing the talents that you have to the table to elevate those partnerships, and then the treasure comes, a portion of the box, and those financial pieces. It's what makes us truly better together in that space. It's such an inspiring, like I said, the picture that you've painted. We all know the dining room table, the kitchen table, intimate place and space when you invite someone even into your home to do that. You've painted a picture for us today of how we can do that in our community with a partnership, with Good Ranchers. Okay, so such great inspiration. We got to wrap this up. We got to land the plane. But I want to, before this is some fun stuff. So, and I just gonna throw this at you. So it may or may not. what's your get in the zone, what I like to say, leadership anthem playlist? Like, what are you listening to right now when it's like, I got to get this done? What does that look like?
I I listen. I've been a huge Mercy Culture fan, and so all
Nice.
I listen to, like, I just have their playlist on repeat, and it's just
Love
like
it.
blaring in. I have to tell my the CMO that's next to me, I'm like, hey, if my music is ever too loud, please let me know. I will turn it down. Um, but
I love it.
that's my
I love
go-to.
it. I love it. Well, I'm all in that Forrest Frank space right now. I mean, he is crushing it and killing it for me. And
Yes.
so I hear you. I hear you. That's
Yeah.
what we do. And I think that that's really important that we don't lose ourselves in like, oh, I got to put that. No, that's going to bring my best to the table.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that. Okay, super important. Favorite ice cream flavor.
Definitely cookies and cream.
Come on. Okay.
Always.
All
Always.
right.
Never
All right.
fails. You can get it anywhere. You can get it in a milkshake. You can get it on a cone. It's always going to be good.
I love it. I love it. Can't fail. And then this one I love. What's one workplace buzzword or phrase that you'd be thrilled if you never had to hear again?
Oof.
I had a good one thrown at me not too long ago, and I was like, can we take this? Let's take it offline. And she was
Mm,
like, we're in the office together. What is this offline business that we're talking about? But we just throw it out there.
yeah. Um, that one, that one's hard.
And you know what that says to me is you're not getting the same thing over and over again. You're keeping it fresh. The rest of us were like, oh my gosh, really, let's circle back to that, and like, no, let's just handle it right now. But
Honestly,
anyway,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like I don't even, because we don't use them here. Like, I see them a lot on like
Yeah.
social media, and I'm like, oh, cringe. Like, I would never say that. So I don't really
Well,
even have one.
that's encouraging. That's encouraging. It's not that it has to be. Look at that, folks. It doesn't have to be. Erica,
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. This conversation has been so powerfully packed with so many wonderful takeaways. And I just want to make sure that before we really wrap things up, that our listeners know how and where to find more about the magic behind of what Good Ranchers are doing. Like, there's the mission, there's the meat, but there's the movement that you're building. Where do they best engage with Good Ranchers?
Follow us on LinkedIn. We definitely post a lot of our culture, like things that we do around the office all the time, interviews with our CEO and founder. They're always on LinkedIn. We have a lot of really fun and funny stuff on Instagram and TikTok. Our social media manager, she is so fun and always has really great ideas. And so you'll get a lot of our personality and who we are on Instagram and some on LinkedIn, but TikTok as well.
Love
But
it.
look for us, goodranchers.com. You can find us there, but that's more of just our story and, um, how we got started. A lot of those are on there. So
Fantastic, fantastic. And you know what, guys? Grab a box. Find out more. It's going to obviously support great cause, but phenomenal food. So let's do that. Erica, you took us to school today, my friend, and I am so excited for our conversation to continue beyond today. So thank you for sharing your story, providing just like a glimpse into your relational leadership journey, but then also what Good Ranchers is doing in their community and how we can be involved. Such an energizing conversation. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you for having me. It was
Awesome,
great.
awesome. Yes. Okay, Cultivate collaborators, you know that means we're wrapping things up today, but it's never a wrap because we all bring our own special flavor to the mix of relational leadership. So till next time, let's keep stirring things up, making an impact, and being better together. Thanks so much, everyone. Before we sign off today, I want to send out huge appreciation to our listeners for tuning in. I hope you felt seen, heard, and inspired to level up your own leadership journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you're ready to level up your leadership, asking for a friend, or interested in being a guest on the show, connect with me at cultivateforgood.com. That's cultivateforgood.com. Remember, as leaders, we're either driving progress or we're driving the problem. So let's grow together.